Today I want to talk about writing characters. And I think one of the things about characters is one of the fun things for me, and I don't know if other authors think this way, and some probably don't, but for me, I think of characters as real people. I think it's more fun to write the story as if they're real people. Like they can get sassy and stuff like that and give me a hard time. So I kind of like bounce around with them. And I realize this is all in my head. But it's fun. But part of the fun thing is that when you're thinking of your characters as real people, you're coming at it with the perspective that before going into your story, these characters have a background to them. I personally do not always know my character's background, motivation, strengths, and all that until I'm writing this story. But some authors already have this all set up and they know in advance. But either way, I think that if we think of our characters like people, and then we realize everyone on this planet is different in some way. We all have our unique set of strengths or weaknesses. We all have different political beliefs, religious beliefs. We all have a view of like how we view the world and things that go around us. And when I was taking psychology in college, there was this big debate. Are our personalities formed by nurture or is it by nature? Like, is it something that we are born with it? Or is it something that we learn from our environment? And the answer really is both. And that's what makes the human experience so complex and fascinating. And I think when you kind of look at your characters that way, it really gives them different levels that we can work with and play with in a story. And I'm going to use kind of like an illustration of how characters, they're all different in some way. Every single character in your book is going to be different. They could be widely different from another character, or they could have subtle differences from another character, because everyone's going to see the same event and they're all going to perceive that event differently. And I'm going to use probably an absurd example, but this is the only thing I could think of in the middle of the night when this came to me. So basically there's a clown running down the street. The clown has his hands up in the air and he's running. Now, character A can look at this clown and his background was he always saw clowns as pretty fun and circuses and parties and stuff like that. So he's like, oh, this is funny. This clown, for whatever reason, is just running down the street. So from this character's perspective, this clown is harmless and fun. But then you have the character on the other side of the street, say character B. This character grew up watching horror movies with clowns in it, and the clowns in horror movies are rarely ever good. And so this person's thinking, oh my gosh, this clown is absolutely frightening. What in the world is this clown, going to hurt somebody? So also when you're thinking not only what the characters are thinking in their heads, but also what is the character seeing? Because if you're in the point of view of character A and you're writing character A's point of view, how you're going to be showing the clown to the reader can be the clown had his hands up in the air and he had a smile on his face and he's running along and his head is going back and forth and it's just fun and jolly and stuff. Whereas character B, if you're in that character's point of view, that character could present the clown to the reader as being this scowl, this kind of ferocious, the lips are turned up, but it's in a sadistic kind of way. I'm going to get you, the hands are up, and it's like I'm going to grab you, more of a menacing kind of look. And in both situations, the clown has his hands up, and the clown seems to have a smile, the lips are upturned. Now, what's the motivation? Why is the clown like that? Only the character A, only the character B can tell the reader from their perspective and from what they're seeing. So what could really be happening, as the author, well, we know that this clown is not happy. This clown is not on a murderous rampage. This clown is just scared because there's a dog that was chasing this clown, and this clown has a fear of dogs. So this clown is just just running down the street, right? Because there's always what they say, the three sides to every story. There's what he said, what she said, and what really happened. So one of the things and one of the fun of playing around with stories, if you want to do this with your readers, is you present both sides to this reader. You have character A give his view to the reader, you give character B the view to the reader, and then you can like kind of let the reader figure it out, but you can also kind of insert, if you wanted to, give the clown's perspective and like, yeah, this is what's really happening. So then it could be possible that the reader knows something and you're allowing the reader to know something that character A will never know and character B will never know. But later on, let's say both character A, character B does like come across this clown, right? And so they're talking to the clown and the clown's like, oh yeah, there was this dog chasing me and it was really scary and I just have this phobia from childhood. Well, okay, in that situation, character A and B then would have more of a similar view at this point of the clown. Okay, so then they're like, they understand the clown was afraid. You know, they wasn't happy, wasn't like sadistic or anything like this, but they could still perceive things just a little differently, even though like they know the same story. So this is the same event and they kind of are aware of the same facts. So character A could think, you know, I think, you know, and I, like, well, yeah, I guess I can kind of see, you know, how someone could be afraid of a dog, you know, and I remember when I was a kid, you know, a little kid, and there was this great big dog and terrified me, so I get it, you know, I understand why this clown was scared. Well, character B could be like, well, that doesn't make much sense because I've never come across a dog that was scary. I mean, you know, in fact, if you start running, a dog will just naturally chase you. That because they think they're playing with you. So character B, even though he originally thought maybe the clown was kind of scary, at this point is like, well, okay, yeah, this clown was acting out of fear. I'm not really afraid of this clown anymore, but I think the clown is just kind of overreacting a little bit because, you know, the guy should have just kept walking, because if he kept walking, the dog probably wouldn't have started chasing him. So those are just very subtle things that you can insert into your stories. Just think of like events that happen in your different plot points, different events, you know, even like different other characters, you know, in your book and stuff that's happening. And how each character, their perspective that you're giving the reader, how that could just change a little bit depending on like what that character is perceiving, what that character believes, and things like that. So that was just basically the thing is, what we want to do is to make our characters unique and authentic. Just think about how like they would be perceiving things and being true to their perception on how things are going. And this could even work in dialogue. If they're talking, character A, character B can be arguing this back and forth. Well, no, you know, this is what's going on with the clown. Oh, no, this is what's going on with the clown. And in the end, they may even come to an agreement. And let's say they both agree. Well, even in their agreement, there can be even a slight difference. Like, you know, the one character may think, well, okay, I don't really see what the big deal is with the dog, but okay. And the other guy could be like, well, you know, maybe we don't agree, but, you know, I still think the dog issue, you know, maybe a little bit bigger than, you know, what the other character is. But this is the dynamic that you could work into your dialogue too, if you wanted. So I'm going to leave that topic there for now.